My stepdad told everyone, "This is my son," pointing at his bio kid while I was next to him. So when I inherited Dad's company worth $200 million, I fired his entire family the same day. Before we move forward, please show some love by subscribing and share your location in the comments. I love seeing where our family is watching from. I was 17 when Arthur made me invisible. The company gala sparkled with champagne glasses and fake smiles, celebrating another record-breaking year for Dad's tech empire. I stood beside Arthur in my navy dress, the one Dad bought me 3 weeks before the heart attack that stole him from my life. 6 months of grief sat heavy in my chest as investors approached, extending condolences that felt rehearsed. "Arthur, so sorry about Richard," Mr. Watson said, shaking his hand. "But the company's in good hands. And this must be your son." My stomach dropped. Arthur's hand landed on Devon's shoulder, his 19-year-old biological son who'd barely spoken to my father in 4 years. Devon smirked, that same entitled smile that made my skin crawl. "Yes, this is Devon. My pride and joy," Arthur said, his voice dripping with artificial warmth. I stood there literally 2 feet away wearing my dead father's favorite color because it made me feel close to him. Mr. Watson's eyes slid past me like I was furniture. "And you, miss?" Mr. Watson finally acknowledged me. "She's Richard's daughter from his first marriage," Arthur interrupted, his tone dismissive. "Brianna's been helpful during this transition." Helpful. Like I wasn't Richard Cole's only child. Like Dad hadn't built this entire empire dreaming of the day I'd stand beside him as co-CEO. Like the last words he whispered before the ambulance arrived weren't, "Protect what we built, baby girl. It's yours." That night, lying in my childhood bedroom, I made a decision. Arthur thought I was just the stepdaughter he inherited along with Dad's fortune. He had no idea what was coming. Attorney Janet Morrison's office smelled like old leather and expensive lies. Arthur sat across from me, Devon beside him wearing a smug expression that made my jaw clench. Mom, or rather Arthur's wife Susie, wouldn't meet my eyes. She'd married him 3 years after Dad's first wife died, and I'd watched her transform from the woman who braided my hair into someone I barely recognized. "Thank you all for coming," Janet began, adjusting her glasses. "Richard Cole's will is quite straightforward." Arthur leaned forward, practically salivating. He'd been acting CEO for 6 months, making changes Dad would have hated. Firing loyal employees. Bringing in his incompetent brother Jerome as CFO and his cousin Tyrell as head of operations. The company was hemorrhaging talent. To my beloved daughter, Brianna Cole, I leave complete ownership of Cole Technologies, all associated assets, properties, and investments, valued at approximately $200 million. The silence was deafening. "What?" Arthur shot up, his chair screeching. "That's impossible. I'm his wife's husband. I've been running this company." "As temporary CEO," Janet corrected coolly. "Per Richard's instructions, Brianna assumes full control upon turning 18 or completing her business degree, whichever comes first." She smiled at me. "Happy 18th birthday, Brianna. As of today, you're the sole owner." Devon's face went pale. "But my dad said." "Your dad assumed," I interrupted, my voice steady despite my racing heart. "My father built this company from nothing. He knew exactly who deserved it." Arthur's expression shifted from shock to calculation. "Brianna, sweetheart, let's be reasonable. You're young. You need guidance. We can work together. Get out." The words tasted like freedom. The corporate offices felt different now, mine not borrowed. I walked past the receptionist at 6 a.m., surprising Gloria mid-coffee. "Miss Cole, I didn't expect. I need access to all financial records from the past 6 months," I said. "Everything Arthur approved." Gloria's expression shifted. I was hoping you'd ask. He handed me a flash drive. Your father taught me loyalty. What Arthur has been doing. Richard would be heartbroken. I spent 8 hours in Dad's office. My office, drowning in spreadsheets and contracts. Each discovery made my blood boil hotter. Arthur had funneled $2 million into a consulting company, owned by Devon. Jerome approved a $500,000 bonus for himself. Tyrell hired his unemployable son at twice the market rate. But the worst? They'd canceled Dad's scholarship program, the one providing full rides to underprivileged kids interested in tech. The program that had saved 23 students from dropping out. Arthur called it unnecessary charity in an email. My phone buzzed. Mom's name flashed. Brianna, baby, please. Arthur is just upset. Can we talk about this? Did you know? My voice cracked. Did you know he was stealing from Dad's legacy? Silence. That's what I thought. I hung up. Dad's photo smiled at me from the desk. The two of us at my middle school graduation. His eyes crinkled with pride. I won't let them destroy what you built, I whispered. I promise. That night I contacted Janet. I need to understand my full legal authority. Arthur showed up at my apartment, the penthouse Dad bought me for my 16th birthday, at midnight. Security called first, but I told them to let him up. I wanted this conversation. You're making a huge mistake, he said, barging in. Scotch on his breath. Desperation in his eyes. You're a kid playing Sue. I'm the CO, I corrected, staying by the door. And you're trespassing. Your mother is my wife. That makes us family. Family doesn't steal. Family doesn't erase. I pulled out my tablet, showing him the financial records. $2 million to Devon's fake consulting firm? Jerome's $500,000 bonus while Dad's scholarship kids got cut? You really thought I wouldn't find out? His jaw tightened. Business requires tough decisions. Business requires integrity. Something you lack. I stepped closer. Dad trusted you. He welcomed you into our lives, and you repaid him by corrupting his company the second he died. Watch your mouth. Or what? I laughed, cold and sharp. You have zero power here, Arthur. You never did. Dad knew exactly what he was doing when he left everything to me. Arthur's face contorted. You ungrateful little. Your father spoiled you rotten. Gave you everything. And this is how you repay his memory. By destroying his family. You're not his family. You're a parasite. The words flew like daggers. And tomorrow at 9 a.m., I'm calling an emergency board meeting. Better wear something nice for unemployment. He left, slamming the door hard enough to rattle the frames. I didn't sleep that night. I planned. The conference room held 15 board members, half of whom Arthur had been schmoozing for months. I walked in wearing Dad's favorite power suit, custom-tailored navy with gold accents, carrying a presentation that would change everything. Gentlemen, ladies, thank you for coming on short notice. I connected my laptop to the projector. 6 months ago you trusted Arthur Williams as interim CEO. Today I'm showing you why that trust was misplaced. First slide. The $2 million to Devon's company. Gasps rippled through the room. Devon Williams, age 19, no business degree, created Elite Tech Consultants 3 weeks after my father's death. Arthur approved payments for services never rendered. No contracts, no deliverables, nothing. Arthur stood. Those were legitimate. Sit down. My voice cut like ice. You'll get your turn. Second slide. Jerome's bonus structure. CFO Jerome Williams approved his own $500,000 performance bonus despite company profits dropping 12% under his leadership. Board member Patricia Hughes leaned forward. I never approved that bonus. Because Arthur bypassed board approval using emergency CO powers meant for actual emergencies. Third slide made everyone uncomfortable. The cancelled scholarship program. 23 students lost funding mid-semester. These kids, brilliant minds from underprivileged backgrounds, were Dad's legacy. Arthur called them charity cases and cut the program to fund his family's salaries. I showed them emails, bank transfers. Every piece of evidence Gloria helped me compile. I'm removing Arthur Williams as CEO, effective immediately. Jerome Williams and Tyrell Williams are terminated for cause. Devin Williams's contract is void. Any objections? The vote was unanimous. I scheduled the terminations for 2 p.m., right after lunch when everyone would witness it. Petty? Maybe. Necessary? Absolutely. Jerome walked in first, coffee in hand, completely oblivious. Brianna, we need to discuss Q3 projections. You're fired. I slid the termination letter across the desk. Security will escort you out. You have 20 minutes to clear your office. His coffee cup froze mid-air. You can't be serious. I'm dead serious. You approved fraudulent bonuses, violated fiduciary duties, and failed to perform basic CFO functions. Legal is considering criminal charges for embezzlement. Arthur will. Arthur has no power here. I pressed the intercom. Security to my office, please. Jerome's face went purple. Your father would be ashamed of you. That's when I stood leaning across the desk. My father built this company on integrity. You dishonored that. He'd be ashamed of you. Tyrell came next, then Devin, who actually tried crying. Please, Brianna, I need this job. My dad made me take the money. Then you should have said no. No sympathy. No second chances. You're 19, not 9. You knew it was wrong. The office buzzed with whispers. Employees gathered in clusters, watching the Williams family collect their belongings in bankers' boxes, escorted by security like criminals. Arthur was last. He stood in the doorway of his former office, Dad's office before he'd redecorated, face twisted with rage. This isn't over, he hissed. Yes, it is. I handed him his letter. You have 30 minutes. Then I'm changing every lock, password, and security code in this building. Mom showed up at my office that evening, mascara stained and shaking. Seeing her hurt more than I expected. How could you? Her voice broke. Arthur gave up everything to help run Richard's company. And you just destroyed him. He destroyed himself. I stayed behind my desk, needing the barrier. Did you even read the evidence? The theft? The corruption? He's my husband. And I'm your daughter. The words exploded out. Or did you forget that when you stood by while he erased me at every event? Every meeting? Every chance he had, he pretended I didn't exist. Mom flinched. You're exaggerating. At the gala, Mr. Watson asked who I was, and Arthur called me helpful. Not Dad's daughter. Not the heir. Helpful. My voice cracked. You stood right there, Mom. You heard it. And you said nothing. I didn't think. Exactly. You didn't think. I pulled up the scholarship program files. Do you know Lucinda Martinez? Dad mentored her personally. Straight A student, MIT bound. Arthur cut her funding. She's working 2 jobs now, taking night classes. She might not make it to graduation. Mom's hands covered her face. I didn't know about that. Because you stopped looking. You chose Arthur over Dad's legacy. Over me. The admission hurt us both. When did I stop being your priority? That's not fair, Brianna. Fair. I laughed bitterly. Nothing about this is fair. Dad dying at 48 wasn't fair. Arthur stealing from his company wasn't fair. You asking me to forgive that? Definitely not fair. She stood wiping tears. If I have to choose between you and Arthur, then choose. My heart hammered. But know that choosing him means accepting what he did. All of it. Mom left without answering. That silence told me everything. Arthur sued me 3 weeks later. Wrongful termination, defamation, and my personal favorite, intentional infliction of emotional distress. Janet Morrison sat across from me reviewing the complaint. This is garbage. Pure intimidation. Can he win? Not a chance. We have documentation of everything. But litigation is expensive and public. That's his goal. Bleed you dry, damage your reputation. I thought about Dad, how he'd handled hostile takeover attempts with grace and strategy. Then we don't just defend. We countersue. For embezzlement, fraud, breach of fiduciary duty. I pulled out another file, one I'd been building. And this. Arthur used company resources to pay for Devon's apartment, his car, even his girlfriend's birthday trip to Dubai. All billed as business expenses. Janet's eyes widened. This is criminal. I know. I want him prosecuted. The next morning, Arthur's lawyer called, panicked. Miss Cole, perhaps we can reach a settlement. No settlement. See you in court. The news broke that afternoon. Cole tech heiress battles stepfather in embezzlement case. Social media exploded. Some people called me ruthless. Others called me brave. I called it justice. Arthur tried calling. I blocked him. Devon sent crying voice messages. Deleted. Jerome's wife reached out, begging for mercy for their family. I felt nothing. Dad used to say, consequences aren't punishment. They're education. They were about to get educated. The preliminary hearing drew media like sharks to blood. I arrived in the same navy suit from the board meeting. Armor, not clothing. Arthur's lawyer, a slick-talking man named Raymond Pierce, tried painting me as a spoiled child playing revenge. Miss Cole, isn't it true you were jealous of the relationship between Arthur and your late father? No. I was protective of my father's legacy. Protective? Or possessive? He smirked. You terminated 4 people in one afternoon. That seems vindictive. I terminated 4 people who stole from my company. I met his eyes. Would you keep employees who embezzled $2 million? Murmurs rippled through the courtroom. The alleged embezzlement. Documented embezzlement, I corrected. Bank transfers don't lie. Janet presented our evidence methodically. Each transaction projected on screens for everyone to see. Devon's consulting fees for work he never performed. Jerome's bonuses. Tyrell's nepotistic hiring. The cancelled scholarship program. The judge, a stern woman named Harriet Foster, studied the documents. Mr. Pierce, your client's defense to these allegations? Pierce stammered. Your Honor, these were approved business expenses. A teenage boys consulting firm receiving $2 million is approved? Judge Foster raised an eyebrow. Counselor, this court deals in facts, not fantasy. Arthur's face went crimson. Devon stared at his shoes. Jerome whispered frantically to his lawyer. Then Janet played the recording. The one Gloria gave me from the executive meeting where Arthur called Dad's scholarship students, dead weight we inherited from Richard's guilt complex. The courtroom went silent. You could hear hearts breaking. Judge Foster's gavel cracked like thunder. I'm referring this matter to the district attorney. Criminal investigation warranted. Arthur grabbed my arm outside. You're destroying your own family. I yanked free. You're not my family. You never were. The DA moved fast. Federal charges came first. wire fraud, embezzlement, conspiracy. Arthur faced 20 years. Jerome and Tyrell got similar charges. Devon, being 19, got offered a plea deal. Testify against his father or face trial. He chose self-preservation. Dad told me it was fine, Devon sobbed on the witness stand. He said Richard owed us for helping build the company. He said Brianna was just a kid who'd waste the inheritance. And you believed that justified stealing? The prosecutor pressed. Yes. Well, I don't know. Devon's shoulders shook. I wanted my dad's approval. He said this was my inheritance too. Watching him crumble should have felt satisfying. Instead I felt hollow. Dad used to say, hurt people hurt people. Arthur had poisoned his own son with greed. The trial lasted 6 weeks. Every day brought new revelations. Arthur had been planning this since Dad's diagnosis. He'd befriended Dad during chemo treatments, married Mom within a year, and immediately started positioning himself as successor. He asked me how to override the will, Dad's estate lawyer testified. I told him it was impossible. Richard's wishes were ironclad. Mom sat in the gallery every day, aging years and weeks. She'd filed for divorce after the preliminary hearing, but the damage was permanent. I caught her crying in the bathroom once. I'm sorry, she whispered. I should have protected you. Yeah. You should have. We didn't hug. Some wounds don't heal with apologies. The verdict came on a Thursday. Guilty on all counts. Arthur got 18 years. Jerome got 12. Tyrell got 8. I felt nothing. Victory without joy. That night I sat in Dad's office staring at his photo. Did I do the right thing? The silence answered. I threw myself into rebuilding. First priority, the scholarship program. I didn't just restore it, I tripled it. Lucinda Martinez? I called her personally. Your scholarship is reinstated, plus a $15,000 stipend for the hardship you endured. She cried. Miss Cole, thank you. Call me Brianna. And thank you for not giving up on Dad's dream. I brought back every employee Arthur fired. The loyal ones who questioned his decisions and paid the price. Gloria became Sue. Her loyalty during the darkest time earned it. Your father would be proud, she said, tears in her eyes. I hope so. Company culture transformed. No more nepotism, no more shortcuts. I instituted transparent salary structures, employee ownership programs, and quarterly ethics training. Dad built this company on integrity. I'd restore that foundation. But professionally succeeding didn't erase the personal wreckage. Mom and I barely spoke. She'd moved to Atlanta, starting over at 53. Devon wrote from prison apologizing. I never responded. Some relationships end permanently. Then came the interview request. 60 Minutes wanted my story. Why should I relive this publicly? I asked Janet. Because young women need to see that fighting back works. That protecting what's yours isn't selfish. The interview aired on a Sunday. I wore navy, always navy, Dad's color. The interviewer, Sharon Wright, didn't softball. Some say you were cruel, destroying your stepfather's family in one day. Some say embezzling from a dead man's company is cruel too. I met the camera's eye. I protected my father's legacy and the employees who depended on his integrity. If that makes me cruel, I'll wear that label proudly. The segment went viral. Millions of views. Thousands of messages. You inspired me to report my boss for harassment. I finally left my abusive marriage because of you. Thank you for showing us that boundaries aren't mean. I didn't feel like a hero. I felt like a survivor who refused to be a victim. 6 months post-trial, an unexpected visitor arrived. Arthur's mother, Loretta Williams. I almost refused the meeting, but curiosity won. She was 74, elegant despite the weight of shame. "I won't ask forgiveness for my son," she began. "What he did was unforgivable." "Then why are you here?" "To tell you about the Arthur I raised. The boy who volunteered at homeless shelters, who worked 3 jobs to put himself through college." Her hands trembled. "Somewhere he lost himself. Greed consumed him. But that doesn't erase what he destroyed, including himself." "Why tell me this?" "Because hatred consumes the hater." She looked at me with knowing eyes. "My grandbaby Devin writes me from prison. He's taking accountability, getting therapy, trying to understand how he became his father's accomplice. He's 20 now with decades ahead. Will you hate him forever?" "He stole from my father. He was manipulated by his father. There's a difference." She slid an envelope across the desk. "This is from Devin. Read it or don't. But consider that mercy isn't weakness." After she left, I opened the letter. "Brianna, I don't expect forgiveness. I was weak, entitled, and complicit in betraying a man who was kind to me. Your father helped pay for my SAT prep. He gave me advice about college. And I repaid that by stealing from his legacy. I'll regret that forever. This isn't asking for anything. Just, I'm sorry. Truly. Devin." I cried for the first time since the verdict. Not for Arthur, but for the waste of it all. For Devin's lost potential. For Mom's broken heart. For the family that never was. But I didn't respond to his letter. Mercy and reconciliation are different things. 1 year after the trial, Cole Technologies hit $1 billion valuation. We'd launched 3 groundbreaking products, expanded to international markets, and became the industry leader Dad always envisioned. I stood at the podium of the annual gala, the same event where Arthur erased me, addressing employees, investors, and 50 scholarship students Dad's program saved. My father, Richard Cole, built this company on 3 principles: innovation, integrity, and investment in people. For a moment we lost our way. But we found it again. Applause thundered. Gloria smiled from the front row. Mom surprisingly sat in the back. We'd had coffee twice, tentative steps toward something resembling repair. To the students here tonight, you represent my father's greatest investment. Not the technology, not the profits, but human potential. Never let anyone tell you that your charity cases or dead weight. You're the future. Standing ovation. Lucinda Martinez, now a sophomore at MIT, mouthed thank you. After the speeches, I returned to Dad's office. His photos still smiled from the desk, but I'd added others. Me at Harvard's graduation, me ringing the stock market bell, me with the scholarship students. My phone buzzed. An unknown number. "Miss Cole? This is Terrence Bradford. I was one of your father's original scholarship students. Graduated 10 years ago. I just watched your interview. Thank you for fighting for us. Thank you for making Dad's dream worthwhile." We talked for an hour. He'd started his own tech company, was hiring exclusively from underprivileged communities, creating the cycle Dad envisioned. After hanging up, I finally answered the question haunting me. Did I do the right thing? Yes. Not just for me, but for every person Arthur would have exploited. For the scholarship students. For the employees who deserved better. For Dad. I opened my laptop, drafting a new initiative. The Richard Cole Foundation for Corporate Ethics. Teaching young executives that integrity isn't optional, that legacy matters more than profit. Arthur stole 6 months. I wouldn't let him steal the next 50 years. Outside, the city lights sparkled. Tomorrow, I'd mentor 3 new scholarship students. Next week, Harvard wanted me to speak about ethical leadership. Next month, we'd break ground on Dad's Memorial Tech Center in his hometown. The betrayal nearly destroyed me. Instead, it forged me into the leader Dad believed I'd become. Free Dad. Always.